Charlie Munger was one of my greatest heroes, and he just recently passed away at the age of 99, a month and a half away from turning 100. He lived one of the most exceptional lives, both in his personal success, but I would say more so in how much he was willing to give back to others to help others along the way. And he embodied all of the traits that he espoused in the many speeches and talks and shareholder meetings that he had over his 99-year career. And I want to share some of my personal biggest takeaways from having Charlie Munger as a hero that don't even come close to the many gems of wisdom he shared, but are some of the ones that I use on a regular basis. So right off the bat, the first and biggest one is his process of inverted thinking. Now, he purportedly claims that he's not the first person to say this. Einstein always said invert, always invert. And so Charlie was a huge history buff and loved living in the past and reading autobiographies of the smartest people who had ever walked the earth. And a lot of his thinking processes were formulated from seeing how those people thought, and he passed it along to people like you and me. And inverted thinking is simply taking a very hard problem. So if you said, hey, I want to grow my business, trying to grow a business is in some ways more complex and difficult than saying, if I were to destroy my business in as few moves as possible, what would I do? So then thinking, well, if I wanted to absolutely destroy my business, I would do this first, and then I would do this second, and then I would do this third, and then I would do this fourth. And you create that list, and all of a sudden what's interesting about it is that we have such a stronger ability to find threats and negatives in our environment than we do positives. And so it's like, if I were to ask you, hey, tell me 10 things you're grateful for, you might be like, right now, if I said, tell me 10 things, tell me about 10 problems you have in your life, you could probably rattle off 100 without breaking a sweat. And it's because we're way more wired to find threats in the environment than find good things. Now, using that engine, we apply it to a business or personal setting or any complex problem and say, okay, I'm going to find all the ways that I'm going to destroy my business, and then you invert it. And so if for me to destroy my business, I would make sure that I would never let anyone know about my stuff. Okay, well then what would I do to invert that? I would let as many people as humanly possible know about my stuff. If I wanted to destroy my business, I would make sure that we had a terrible product so that anybody who bought it would immediately think it was awful and tell all their friends that it sucked and leave bad reviews. Okay, so what's the opposite of that? I want to have something that's exceptional, that as soon as people get it, they love it, they tell other friends how great it is, and then they leave positive reviews. And you can go down the list and start thinking, okay, if I wanted this negative thing to happen, what would I do? You say that, and then you invert it. And for whatever reason, you get completely different answers than you would trying to think of it in the positive. And I have done this, Einstein did it, Munger did it, they're way more successful than I am in many ways.